Hello everybody and welcome back to Magna Carta 2. In the last video, we went around Dunan Field and completed some of the side quests that were available in the area. And in this video, we're going to head over towards Lanoara Lake. We're going to defeat the Swamp Eel over there that has been terrorizing the area. And that should be the last side quest in the area finished up, so we'll end things off with another sort of mini-boss battle. I've also gone ahead and changed my party a little bit. I've decided to bring up Judo, Argo, and Zephie, just to switch it up a little bit. Because Rue is actually at a higher level than Judo is, so I'm trying to switch out all the characters so that their levels are going to remain somewhat even. Off screen, I went ahead and I put on the paralysis immunity common on Judo, so he won't have any sort of issues with paralysis in this area. Which is good, so we'll be able to move on forward in the area without having to worry about that. And I think what I'll do is I'll just skip these enemies for now. I want to get right to fighting the Swamp Eel. There's also a chest here for an attack level 3 command. This area is really neat. It looks as if it used to be a shrine or something, and it's kind of been decrepit and all beat up and whatnot. I kind of like ruins and stuff, all those sorts of areas. They look really neat. It just sort of adds to the scenery because, again, everything around here is so very dull. So as you walk up the steps and approach the altar sort of thing here, the Swamp Eel will appear and attack you. So the Swamp Eel is very similar in attack pattern and design to the anglerfish that we fought in the Undersea Tunnel. And the main thing to watch out for with the Swamp Eel is that it can poison your party members. I do have the Ring of Detoxification on Judo at the moment, so he's not going to have to worry about poison. However, Argo and Zephie are, so if Zephie is able to generate enough con, she should be able to clear that right up, hopefully. I don't really foresee this slowing us down too much, though, because this isn't a battle that's really going to take you a long time, especially if you do chaining and whatnot. The poison, of course, is going to zap your HP, but because the battle's not incredibly long-term, it really shouldn't be too big of a deal. And to my knowledge, this eel doesn't have two sides to it like the anglerfish did, so it's going to disappear and reappear, but you're not going to have to worry about the two health bars with the two different heads, thankfully. Because that's just a pain in everybody's ass. And that's just something that nobody likes to really deal with, or at least I didn't. I found that to be a giant pain myself. Was definitely not a fan of that. So really there's no strategy here that I can think of, just watch out for the poison mostly, and watch for the eel as it moves around the map. You'll be able to see where it's come from with the big red dot on the mini-map on the top there. So defeating the eel will give us some experience as well as finish up one of the side quests. There is another one of those big floating rocks in this area, so remember the location of that as well for when you come back here.
Alright.
And then what you're going to want to do before you leave the area is you're going to want to switch to Zephie. And you'll want to stand on this altar. You might not know it just by looking at it, but if you do come over to it, it does appear to be a royal altar. And if you're standing on it as anybody else except for Zephie, it will say that it needs someone of royal blood here. And by using Zephie, you're able to call upon an ancient royal spirit. And this spirit is going to ask us to get the marks of royalty. And the first mark of royalty is going to be with the water folk. And of course the water folk are the Mare, so we are going to be returning back to Kodamare. Like I said, I had completely forgotten all about this little side quest here, but this is actually rather important. If you guys remember, quite some time ago, one of the Northern Forces generals was talking about how, although Zephie is royalty by blood, she isn't actually considered to be royalty because she doesn't have all 4 marks of royalty, and Shawenzite happens to have 2 of them. So if he manages to get his hands on all 4 marks of royalty, he could actually come and take Zephie's position right under her nose, and there won't be much that she can do about it. So it is really important for us to go and investigate these royal seals. So that's definitely a side mission you don't want to miss out on, and because we're in the area, it's also going to be very convenient for us to go back and to return to Kodamare. But before I forget, I guess what I should do is I should go and return the quest for finishing up the monster fight at Lanoara Lake. I don't know how I had completely forgotten about that. Guess I'm just getting ahead of myself. But that quest was given to us by the Traveler at the Dunan Rest Area, the one who had hurt herself, so we should talk to her and let her know that the threat has been neutralized. And we'll be able to get our prizes: a Hawk's Eye Comment, a Silence Defense Comment, 2500 experience, and 2500 Sid. Not bad, if I do say so myself. Okay, with that done, that now officially takes care of everything in the area. I could have turned that in later on my return back, but I would have probably forgotten, so it's a good thing I did it now. And again, we are going to stall going to Ruhalt Basin once again. The other part of the army is probably wondering where the hell we are, because we are certainly taking our dear sweet time, taking a lot of detours here. Alright, so we're back in Navy Blue Marsh. I completely skipped our travels back to Dunan Hill because it's a very short distance, and there really isn't anything to say. We're going back and forth between these areas, but it's the exact same thing as we've been seeing, so just decided to cut out a little bit of time. When you return back to Navy Blue Marsh, what you're going to want to do is return to Kodamare, and we need to go and speak with the villager's chief, Caton, and she'll let us know a little bit about what is going on. Now, it is probably possible for you to have gone to Dunan Field first, done all of those side quests, and then returned to do Celestine's Right to Passage, as well as getting the Marks of Royalty. So that might be another option for people if you're worried about saving time or you're really not a fan of backtracking, then that is entirely possible. I just like to do things in a very specific order that I know it will absolutely work 100%. And it's really not a terribly large distance to backtrack or anything either. Now, I'm not sure if you have to have Zephie as your leader to speak to the chief about the Marks of Royalty, but I'm just going to keep Zephie as my leader to be, you know, more safe than sorry. Just in case. We'll see what the chief has to say, because apparently she has a little bit of information for us. And she is willing to talk to us because we are allies, thankfully. King Fisith, the first king of Lonsheim, left a trial for his descendants to ascend the throne. He believed a king was given legitimacy through the recognition of all races, not just humans. An unqualified king would make biased decisions which would lead to conflict. This king would cause the world's destruction through bloodshed as Human and Carta had once fought. To prevent this, he built royal altars in each region, and one must be tested at them to become king. Your task is to be accepted by the races that guard the altars and to be tested by the ancient spirit. Path is blocked by a barrier to prevent access until one is judged worthy to be king. Alright, so that seems pretty self-explanatory. That's why there's 4 of them. They're scattered all throughout the world. You are a legitimate descendant of the royal family of the Kingdom of Lonsheim. My judgment is that your character is of sufficient worth to proceed to the water altar. Take this jewel and go to the water altar. I believe it will dispel the barrier. However, mark well these words. You have merely been granted the right to go to the water altar. Take this jewel and go to the water altar. It should dispel the barrier. I don't know why she had to repeat that twice, but alright. At the water altar, you will meet the water spirit and undergo the trial to be king. Alright, let's get going. It's sort of funny that they're talking about her being king, because of course she's a woman, so she would be queen. But because she's of royal descent, I guess it doesn't really matter if there's a king or a queen. And by doing this, it would basically be preventing Xuanzet from becoming king, which would be our ultimate goal. So the water altar is at the Refuge of Darkness. You may have remembered seeing a big obnoxious purple wall in the area when we were there, and that is the barrier that has been put up by the water spirit. But hopefully using the item that the chief gave us, we'll have no problems entering. And then from there, we're just going to have to see what sort of trial was put in place for us. It's also kind of curious how Zephie never really knew about these trials. I think she had mentioned that her mother had talked a little bit about it, but it was sort of like a legend. No one really took it seriously, I guess, because in royalty it just gets passed on to the next family member or whatever, but hopefully these are going to help us. So here it is. This is the barrier. And we are able to dispel it just like that by walking into it, which is lovely. Let's go ahead and research the water altar using Zephie. And this will summon the water spirit. I have awaited you, Resafilda Grana Berlinet. If you have come here, it means that the Mari have judged you worthy. Now, I shall conduct the first trial. Alright, conduct away, good sir. What he's going to do is he's going to summon little water spirits for you to fight. I do believe that there are 6 of them in total. And this really isn't a difficult trial, in my opinion. You can do this using any party members, to my knowledge. And there's about 2 of them at a time. And they're just like any regular enemy. I don't think there's really anything to particularly worry about with them. I think that they can stun you, and some of their attacks are, you know, quite devastating.
I'll show you the power of Trevor.
But as long as you have a good party that you're comfortable with, it really shouldn't be too big of a deal. I think this party will be okay. I could probably choose something better. I could put Rue in, or some of my other stronger party members, but I think that Judo and Argo taking the front will be okay, and Zephie will hopefully be able to keep us healthy in the back. I'm also curious to know all of the different races in the world, because I can only think of 4 of them, being the Mare, the Avis, the Trewa, and humans. So it's going to be sort of interesting to see which marks Xuanzet has and which tribes of people that he's gained the favor of. Because to my knowledge, not a lot of people really like the Northern Forces. I think a lot of people are sort of rooting for Zephie, but unfortunately it seems that Xuanzet has a little bit more power than she does, so their army's losing, but I think it's just because of power and not because no one likes her, sort of thing. We'll definitely learn a little bit more about the seals later. And because Zephie's dead now, I've gotta watch my health a little bit here. I did try and heal her, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do so in time. But I think I will need her in order to speak to the water spirit, so I should revive her real quick. And switch her. And use her as my leader. Didn't go over 100% smoothly, but we did complete the trial, so hopefully that means that I'm worthy, and you're willing to give me the mark. One who would be king must possess might that is sufficient to resolve any and all chaos and conflict. However, the greater the might, the greater the care one must take not to brandish it recklessly. Used appropriately, might enables obedience, but if used in excess, it leaves one isolated. One who would be king must govern the country while always following the path of moderation. Wise words from the water spirits. Thank you very much, good sir. And if we speak to him again, we can get another quest. In Jandara Canyon, no, in the place now called Old Fox Canyon, there exists the fire altar. Pay heed to the words of the spirit enshrined there. By nature, the royal spirit cannot recognize two kings. Some unfathomable will is at work here. The fire altar spirit is also confused. Its unrest can be felt even here. Go see for yourself. Alright, so that spirit is going to deem us worthy. We passed the trial, and the scroll that he gives us is going to allow us to open up the fire altar, so already we're on our way to getting 2 seals, which would put us at an even 2 and 2. So that's really interesting that this part of the world has sort of been untouched by Shuenzite. I think what I'll do now is I will return to Kotomari. I'll save at the pillar and rest up, and in the next video we will return to Old Fox Canyon because we want to be able to get that done before we head over to Ruhal Basin. So we're revisiting all sorts of different areas. It's been a very long time since we've been back to Old Fox Canyon. It should be moderately quiet over there now, I would think, being that the troops have all been cleared out, so hopefully it'll be a nice easy visit. We can just go and visit the spirit and see what it's confused about, see if we can help it, and see if we can get that second mark for Zephie. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope that I will see you next time.